Hi everybody to my lesson today. Today I will show you about component and prop or property in React framework. How to use it component? As you know, component is a part of your React and each component will have multiple element inside. For example, the basic element is a heading one, but you can have the div the heading one and we add it into a component. Here I define a function use in for with the props. Prop mean properties. Property or I can add some of a variable to this property, and a function is called a React component. I can add it into a function or I can add it into a class. And now I introduce you about a function. And use info is a component name. You remember that the first character is uppercase or caps lock or uppercase. It is the convention in React. And user info is a component name, and props here is a properties of a component. Inside the prop we can add some variable to here to save to here, and it is also, as you see, in the property of the class in object-oriented programming. And it returns the return value of the function is an element or a GS is an element inside here. We as you know, we have div, and a div or a division is a basic of element, or inside the div we can add more element here, but you need have to a div. And so we can tell that each component is inside a div or inside a division. Inside it I add a new p or paragraph element here. We add a paragraph element here to give an information. For example, name. What does it name? Name is name that we get from a variable here, and we add it to the property prop and name. After dot name, you can see that a new variable has been created to the property, and save and add values to the property. So here is a definition of a component as a JavaScript function, or a function way of define a component. And here I can use it as a basic element by calling this. So I add from the input. I input it as in HTML. For example, Huang, name Huang, and space email is equal to sunlight4d at gmail.com. So it is very easy to see if you are familiar with HTML before. And here I create the element. The element is a constant and point to the user info component. So I add the element here, and it calls to the useInfo function or the useInfo component. And I refresh. I see that we have the output here. Very nice to understand. And I comment out this, and now I introduce about more useInfo. Here I define the useInfo component as a class, and inside the class we have the render function. So it is the basic form of defining a component as ECMAScript6 class. You can use function or you can use a class form. all is identical, but I recommend you to use a class from, because inside the class I can add more property, public property, private property. It is very convenient when later we can use it to render and to change some element inside. So inside the render function, we should add more by copy the inside of the function to this. So it is similar to the function, but I must add this point to here. This means that it points to the user info class, not function. Now it is class, so the prop is a property of this class, and this property is public. We will tell you about the private later, but now you know that the property is public. And inside the element or inside the JSX, we change it a little bit to see the change interface. Here is automatic update. It is updated automatically and very convenient. Okay. Class intro now. Class use info now is a component in React or React component. Inside this we have a render function. Inside the function render we return an element, a div element, and inside the div we can add more HTML element here, P or paragraph, heading, etc. Now I want to add more div inside. What must I do? Okay, the first way is I define a div inside it, and I cut and copy this inside div, because each component must inside a div. So I must add every div inside one div. Here I have another div. It means the other information, and the other information on will get the function from other information of property. So we have two div. We have a two div inside one div. We have a div for information, and we have upper div for name and email. So for easier to understand, you can see the figure here. I can draw the figure here to you to see. Here is two div inside one div. Yes, very easy to see. Do you see? Yes, two div inside a div. We have div 1 is name and email, and the div 2 is other information inside one div. And here I can see we have two div here. And for more easier to understand, I can add more color, and we customize each of the div inside for you to see. By adding this a class name, you define a class name. Remember that class name, not class. Class name here used in React, not in HTML. So inside the CSS file, I redefine the color of class. User detail is color. Text color is white, and the background color is green. And we can run now to see. Okay, here you can see that the first div has as I see, and similarly I add another class to the second div. So the second div is other info. We rename it to other info, and I copy the other info as a class name, and copy to CSS file and style it dot other info and curly brace. Copy the curly brace here and change the color to blue, and I refresh. I can see that it has a color of blue here. Okay, now we have the first with green color and the second with blue color. So if we want to use a separate component, yes, making it a separate component make you easier to maintain your code and more easier to customize your code after release your product. And here I define the user interface with the form as I define a component. So the user detail now become a component, a separate component. So I copy the here to return. I copy the div content to the return function and semicolon, enter. So I copy the class name user detail on the division here. I copy it and here and bring it to become a component, a user detail component. And here I can clone the user detail here as a component with the input value name here and the email here inside the curly brace. Here's the email, here's the name here, and I refresh. Okay, see. Okay, good. So similarly, I can create a more component. I copy this component and paste here, and remove this. And the component here is the other. The other info is also a component. So I separate it to another component for you to see, and I paste the code here. And now we can add two of the component into one component. Also the component other info has the property of other information is equal to this property, this props dot other information. So here we will have a very easy to see with it is very concise to see because it is very short. I can change the output. I can change the input for more. Yes, C line to go at home. For example, Anna, and email is Anna dot at gmail.com, and refresh. Oh, here can hit Anna and email Anna, and other information is his line. She like to work at home. Okay, so thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel for more interesting video. Bye bye and see you again.